Right, 12.7 is on equations of a circle. So we're going to be writing an equation of a circle where if we were to graph it, it's going to show up on a coordinate grid as a circle. So the standard equation for the circle that you are going to need to know is that r squared, or radius squared, is going to be equal to your x minus h in parentheses squared plus your y minus k in parentheses squared. So what that means is you are going to have your radius squared, and h and k tell us what our center is. And notice, because we're subtracting, when you identify h and k, it's always going to be the opposite sign as what shows up in the equation. So if we look at example 1, there's two things we need to know to write the equation. We need the radius and we need the center point. So if we look, the radius is the distance from the center to the edge of the circle. So we want to make sure we're following a straight line here. So this one is going to have a radius of 3, and the center is at the origin, or 0, 0. So when we write our equation using the circle formula, we're going to have r squared, which is 3 squared, equals x minus 0 in parentheses squared plus y minus 0 in parentheses squared. So when that happens, we get our equation of the circle as 9 equals x squared plus y squared. So anytime it has the center at 0, 0, you're going to end up getting rid of the parentheses because we don't need to show that on our problem. Okay. So then this is just again showing you the equation of the circle where we have x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. And that's going to be equal to, again, the radius squared. You will need to have this memorized for the test, so make sure you star that so you can review it before the test and the quiz. Okay. Looking at example 2, we're going to write the standard equation of a circle with a center of 0, -9, and a radius of 4.2. So we're going to start with the radius squared equals x minus our h value, which is 0, in parentheses squared, plus y minus our k value. Now this one you want to be careful because you're subtracting a negative. Once you get here, we're going to simplify only a little bit. So we want to figure out what 4.2 squared equals, which is 17.64. Because we are subtracting 0, we're going to just simplify that to x squared. And then because we're subtracting a negative in the parentheses, we're going to change that to plus 9 squared. But that is all you are going to do. So you don't have to FOIL out the y plus 9 in parentheses. So you're going to leave your answer like this. Okay. Then if we look at example 3, we're going to write the equation of a circle with a center of -2, 5 and a radius 7. So again, we're going to start with our radius squared equals, in parentheses, x minus our h value of -2 squared, parenthesis, y minus our k value of 5, in parentheses squared. Again, when you simplify, we're going to do just the minimum. So 7 squared is 49. Because we're subtracting a negative, we're going to change that to plus. Then the rest of it is going to stay the same, and that is our final answer. Okay. Then for example 4, they have the point -5, 6 on the circle with the radius -1, 3. They want us to write the standard equation of the circle. We're going to do this where we can pretend that we don't have this graph. So we're going to pretend we don't. So because we don't know the radius, we're going to start with r squared equals, and then we would have x minus our k value plus y minus our h value. And don't forget that both sets of parentheses are squared. So then we're going to figure out what our radius is by plugging in our x and our y value. So we're going to have r squared equals x is -5. Because we're subtracting a negative, I'm just going to change it to +1. And then our y value is 6. So we're just going to go ahead and simplify this. So -5 plus 1 is going to become -4 squared, and then 3 squared. This tells us that our radius squared is going to be 25, and our radius would be 5. So if we didn't have the graph, that's one way we could solve it. So then we're going to write the equation of the circle once we know that information. So because we know the radius squared is 25, we're going to have 25 equals x plus 1 in parentheses squared plus y minus 3 in parentheses squared. And that would be our final answer. If you are given the graph, so sometimes you won't be, but if you are, then you can just count the radius and then you don't have to do all the work. So depending on if you're given the graph or not, will show you what you need to do on each problem. Okay, the last two, we are going to be graphing them. So when you graph, there's two things you need to figure out, which is the center and then your radius. So remember, your center is the h and the k value, and they're always the opposite sign as what's in front of them. So your h is going to be a +4, and your k is going to be a -2. And then because it's equal to r squared, you're going to take the square root of what the equation is equal to. So in this one, it's going to be 6. So then you'll start by plotting this point at 4, -2. And because our radius is 6, we're going to plot 4 points going 6 up, 6 to the right, 6 down, and then 6 to the left. Once you have those 4 points, you're going to do the best you can to draw a circle connecting them. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, just as long as you have those points very clearly marked on your graph and you attempt to draw a circle, you'll get full credit on this. So then our last example, the first thing we want to do is find our center. Again, that's our h and our k value. H always goes with your x, which makes sense because that is your x value in the center. And when you do these, remember it's the opposite sign as what's in front of it. So this one at our center is -2, +3. And then for our radius, we have to take the square root of what the equation is equal to. So the square root of 16 is going to be 4. Remember, when you plot the points, you have to plot 4 of them, one going in each direction. And then once you have that, you're going to draw your circle. There you go. Let me know if you